अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, मां हाँ रज़ाक मसन अवांजे पंहिंजे प्रोग्राम कैनेडा टाइम सां गॾु। कैनेडा टाइम में अॼु असां जंहिं जॻह ते जेको आहे सो मौजूदु आहियूं उहो आहे कैनेडा जे गादीअ वारो हंधि ऑटवा जे अंदरि जंहिं जॻह ते मां हींअर मौजूदु आहियां उहो आहे पार्लियामेंट हाउस जे हींअर ॿाहिरों जेको आहे मां मौजूदु आहियां। ॿाहिरि जी जेका सूरत हाल आहे मां तव्हांखे हितां ॿुधाईंदो हलां त हिकिड़ी जॾहिं मां हिते पहुतुसि त मुंहिंजे लाइ बि इहा हिकिड़ी तमामु जेका आहे अजब जहिड़ी ॻाल्हि हुई त जीअं त हिते कैनेडा जो जेको प्राइम मिनिस्टर आहे उहो बि वेहे थो ऐं गॾोगॾु जेके हितां जा मेंबर आहिनि उहे सभई वेहनि था ऐं मुंहिंजे जेको आहे सो पोयां तव्हांखे जेको आहे सो पार्लियामेंट हाउस जी जेका बिल्डिंग आहे उहा नज़र अचे थी। पर गॾोगॾु ॿाहिरि जी जेका सूरत हाल आहे त हिते अहिड़ो कंहिं बि क़िस्म जो को ख़ौफ़ या हिरास या के ब्लॉक के कंटेनर का हितां जी जेका सख़्तु क़िस्म जी का सिक्योरिटी अहिड़ी कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि ॻाल्हि कान्हे का। हिते आम माण्हुनि जे लाइ जेको आहे सो अचण वञण जो जेको रस्तो आहे उहो खुलियल आहे। आम माण्हू हिते अची वञी सघनि था ऐं पंहिंजो जेको आहे त ॿाहिरां तस्वीरूं कढाए सघनि था, रिकॉर्डिंग करे सघनि था, मीडिया जे माण्हुनि सां जेको आहे मुलाक़ात करे सघनि था ऐं जेके अंदर खां जेके मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट आहिनि MPs आहिनि उहे बि हिते अचनि था ऐं अची करे मीडिया सां ॻाल्हि ॿोल कराइनि था। कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि सिक्योरिटी न आहे, कंहिं बि मेंबर खे, कंहिं बि पार्लियामेंट जे मेंबर खे एॾी ईअं जेको आहे सो को प्रोटोकॉल न आहे जीअं असांजे पाकिस्तान जे अंदरि हिकिड़े MP जे पोयां हिकिड़े MN जे पोयूं जेको आहे सो 15-20 गाॾियुनि जो काफ़िलो, पुलिस ऐं एम्बुलेंसिस ऐं तमामु घणो जेको हद खां वधीक ख़ौफ़ हिरास माण्हुनि जे अंदरि जेको आहे सो फैलायो वेंदो आहे। अहिड़ी तव्हांखे मां ॿुधायां त हिते अजब जहिड़ी ॻाल्हि इहा आहे त अहिड़ी कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि सूरत हाल कोन्हे का। सभु कुझु सुकून सां आराम सां असेंबली में बि अचे थो। कंहिं बि क़िस्म जो को बि ख़ौफ़ ख़तरो जेको आहे सो माण्हुनि खे हिते कोन थो थिए त हिते जेको आहे सो प्राइम मिनिस्टर गुज़रे थो, हितां जो जेको आहे सो MP गुज़रे थो त को रोड रस्ता जेके आहिनि उहे बंदि थींदा, के ब्लॉक थींदा, नॉट एट ऑल। सिंगल टाइम ते बि तव्हांखे को बि माण्हू जेको आहे सो ईअं टच करे नथो सघे त तव्हां जेको आहे हिते छा था कयो छा नथा कयो। सो इहा हितां जे सुधरियल मुल्कनि जी जेका आहे उहा सूरत हाल हूंदी आहे। अॼु जेको सो पार्लियामेंट हाउस जे ॿाहिरां हीउ प्रोग्राम करण जो जेको मक़सदु आहे उहो इहो आहे त किथे न किथे जेके असांजा हुकुमरान हिन सिंध TV जे प्रोग्राम जे ज़रिए हिन प्रोग्राम खे ॾिसनि पिया त घटि में घटि ख़ुदारा एतिरो जेको आहे सो अवाम जो ख़्यालु कयो त जेके असांजे रोडनि रस्तनि जे अंदरि तव्हांजी सिक्योरिटी जी वजह सां जेके माण्हू मरनि था, जेके सिक्योरिटी वजह सां एम्बुलेंसिस फाथल बीहनि थियूं, सिक्योरिटी जी वजह सां तव्हांजे जेको आहे कई माण्हू जेके आहिनि उते मुश्किलात जो जेको आहे सो ऑफिसनि में प्रॉपर तरीक़े सां नथा पहुची सघनि, माण्हुनि जी मीटिंग्स कैंसिल थियनि थियूं त उन जे बावजूद बि हुननि जे जेको आहे सो कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि हुननि खे परवाह न हूंदी आहे। त मां तव्हांखे ॾेखारियां त हीअ जेके मुहज़िब मुआशिरा आहिनि हिननि मुहज़िब मुआशिरनि जे अंदरि तव्हां ॾिसो त हिते कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि अहिड़ी सूरत हाल कोन्हे का जंहिंसां कंहिं बि माण्हूअ खे हिकिड़ो जेको आहे सो किवलीअ जहिड़ो को अचे केरु को चक हणे या का चुंडी लॻे, नॉट एट ऑल। हाणे हींअर जेको आहे सो अंदरि जी जेका पोज़ीशन आहे छा आहे, अंदरि जी जेका बिल्डिंग जे अंदरि जेको पार्लियामेंट हाउस आहे उनजी पोज़ीशन छा आहे, अचो त मां तव्हांखे अंदरि वठी हलां।
Mr. Speaker, the opposition leader continues to claim that Canada's broken, but at the same time, he wants to get rid of the investments that will help Canadians, for example, with the construction of new homes. The millions of dollars that we have sent to the government of Quebec to build new affordable housing, if it was up to him, he would cut and impose austerity on Quebecers and all Canadians. They don't want that. We don't want that. We need to invest to help alleviate the housing crisis, and that not the kind of policies the opposition leader is proposing.
Minister Stephen Harper only 80 days to get a softwood lumber deal that put an end to the tariffs and reimbursed what we're already collected. And then this Liberal Prime Minister capitulated, allowed Trump to reimpose the tariffs and Biden to double them. Harper got us an exemption to Buy America. This Prime Minister then capitulated, allowed Trump and Biden to reimpose them, hurting our construction workers and our providers of steel. Why can't we have a carbon tax election so that we can have a Prime Minister that no longer capitulates to the Americans, but instead will stand up for Canada?
And Madam Speaker, a Liberal walks into a bar and says, "Drinks are on me." Who's paying? And who's paying, Madam Speaker, are the Canadian people right now with higher taxes, fewer jobs, and the struggling economy. We just have to look at the facts to see what's happened over the last 9 years. We have the GDP per person for Canada. The U.S. average worker is now making $22,000 more than the average Canadian worker. That's after 9 years. We look at a struggling economy with our unemployment. The unemployment rate for the U.S. is about almost 1.5% lower than Canada. They have the actual problem where they have 7 million jobs they can't fill. And in Canada, 2 years ago, we had 1 million jobs, high-skilled paying jobs we couldn't fill, and that number is now plummeting. It's less than 400,000 right now. We look at the average debt, personal household debt per person. In Canada, it's 180%, where in the U.S., it's just under 100%.
You know, immigrants are very important in Canada. Our whole, we don't make enough babies here in Canada, and so having people come into our country is important to fill jobs and the different needs that we have as a country. But of course that has to be in balance, and what we've seen in the last number of years is the Liberal government has completely messed that up, and they have let things get out of balance so that people don't have jobs, they don't have health care, they don't have places to live. And so that's the thing that's really important from a conservative perspective, is that while we do need immigrants to come into our country, we also have to make sure that those people that come in are successful, that they have places to live and jobs and those sorts of things. So that's something that we're going to keep working on. It's very important, and myself personally, I have worked really hard to build relationships with all kinds of different immigrants in Canada, particularly with Muslim people and with Sindhi people and all kinds of different newcomers to our country who add so much value, so much interest, so much good food. I really enjoy the food that I've built up my spice levels in my food, so that's been really, really good. But it's important, and we have to do a better job. The current government is not doing a good job of this and has really allowed the whole immigration system to get really messy. One of the things that we deal with a lot in our office in Saskatoon, and it's like this right across the country, are delays in immigration processing. You know, the immigration department, while having grown 3-4 times from where it was originally, their processing and their service levels have gone way down. And so, and you would know this from your community, where people are waiting forever, they don't get responses, they get bad results back from the department, or erroneous things, and there's nobody to call, there's no way to find that out. And so something that we really want to push for is a much more transparent immigration department, so that you, first of all, get responses in a timely manner. That's one important thing. But also just so that you know where things are at, so that you don't have to always wonder, you know, did they get my application? Are they working on my application? We need to make sure that we have a system that allows people to know where their applications are at and gets an answer back in a timely fashion. Well, there again, the government completely mismanaged that whole area. It's great to have students come to Canada. It's a good thing for the students because they get to learn in Canada, and sometimes they get to be able to become citizens. And it's also good for Canadians because the students provide economic activity in Canada and just add a lot of value to the country. But again, the Liberal government completely messed that up, and they put in a system that promoted fraud. And this was fraud of all kinds, not the students so much, but it was the immigration consultants that work in other countries that found a way to charge money they shouldn't be charging, make promises that they couldn't make, and then students end up being the guinea pigs, the people that are stuck in the middle, because they thought they were dealing with an honest consultant, and in the end the consultant wasn't honest. But they did that because the Liberal government allowed this to happen. They created a system that promoted fraud. And the same thing happened on the Canadian side, where there were some unscrupulous colleges that were set up only to take money from unsuspecting students. And so there was fraud all through the system, and it was in there because the Liberal government did not foresee that. They couldn't understand how people would take advantage of it. And then when they did become aware of it, they did nothing for a long, long time. So now they've had to, make some drastic changes to try to overcome their mistakes they made in the first place. And so that has hurt our reputation outside of Canada for sure. And it's made it very difficult on those students who are here that all of a sudden the rules are changing in the middle of the game. And that's unfortunate that that's had to happen. But it all goes back to the fact that this government and the Minister of Immigration made big mistakes and didn't know how to fix them. Well, this current Liberal government does not have a plan. They're the ones that got us into this mess. They are the ones that created the mess that we all face. And it's not just immigrants that face this problem. This is faced by everybody in Canada. And so that's why, as a Conservative, I'm looking forward to the next election, when we can have a chance to change the government, because Conservatives have a plan. Our plan is, number one, to get rid of the carbon tax, axe the tax. Carbon tax makes everything more expensive, from the obvious things like gasoline and heating, but also food, and pretty much everything you buy is affected by carbon tax, and it makes everything more expensive. So we're going to axe that tax, get rid of it. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to build more homes, because as you already pointed out, there isn't enough housing in Canada, and so we have a plan that will make sure that municipalities are incentivized to build more houses. And also, we just announced last week a plan to eliminate the GST on new housing, and so that will actually create more housing in Canada. So building more houses is a very important thing for the Conservatives. Thirdly, we want to fix the budget. Right now, we are in a deficit. Ever since Trudeau was elected, he has been spending more money than he brings in. And this is causing inflation, and it's causing interest rates to go up. And so we're going to balance the budget, we're going to fix the budget, and make sure that it is responsive to the needs of Canadians. And lastly, we're going to stop the crime. You will have had many discussions and encounters with the increased crime in Canada. It's gotten very much out of control, and that's again because the Liberals have changed the laws to make it easier for criminals to stay out of jail. So there's a revolving door where criminals that should be in jail, they get bail, and that allows them to get back out and re-offend, and crimes are repeated. And so we are going to fix that. We're going to make sure that repeat offenders are in jail where they belong. And also, if somebody has a drug problem, we're going to make sure that we invest in treatment, because we do not have enough treatment facilities. Because drugs and crime, they go together, right? You get into the lifestyle of drugs, it often leads to crime and vice versa. So we want to make sure that we have sufficient treatment centers in Canada so that we can get our people off of the drugs and bring them home drug-free. So that's the Conservative plan in a nutshell, to fix what's happened in the last 9 years of Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government. Well, the things that I mentioned will help that, because you're right, as government grows, which it has under the Liberal government, and as I said with immigration, for example, it's not better, it's just bigger, means it's more expensive, which means taxes have to go up. And so this government has increased taxes all the way along, and that's made it more expensive for you and I and everybody in Canada to try to pay all of those taxes. And so by fixing the budget and bringing things back under control, we can reduce taxes, because that's where we have to get to. And so we've already talked about getting rid of the carbon tax. We've talked about GST on new housing builds, and I think we have other ideas that would help to reduce the tax burden on Canadians and make life more affordable for everybody. It's going to take time for this to fix itself. And so, as I said, the current Liberal government has completely messed up the situation and made so many mistakes that have created this mess that we have. And they themselves have said it's a mess. The government themselves have said they created a mess. And so it's not something you can just snap your fingers and fix in 1 minute. And so it will take some time. But the measures that I spoke about, we will implement if we were to form government and start to make things different. And hopefully, if that all works out, once enough time has passed and those policy measures have had a chance to work, then we can see where things will go. But in the meantime, it's going to be difficult because of the mess that was created by the Liberal government. Well, the policies that the government has, and I think the ones that would carry forward, aren't necessarily country specific. It's more, we want to make sure and bring the right people into our country. So based on job availability, based on skills that people have. So those are the criteria that are used. The point system, as you probably are aware of, is a way that many people come to the country. So it isn't so much about the country that they come from as it is more the skills they bring to Canada. But at the same time, I'm on the immigration committee, and we did a study and discovered that within the government system, the Liberal system right now, there is a certain amount of racism and a certain amount of decisions that are made that are questionable. And so that's another area where the Liberal government has really allowed the immigration department to go backwards, because there are some things happening there that shouldn't be. And so those are things that we need to fix. To the Sindhi people out there, you're wonderful people and bring a lot of value to Canada and add a lot to the country. And so it's been great getting to know the Sindhi community and the leaders that you have. And I know there is a bright future there. And even though things are a little difficult in Canada right now because of the way the Liberal government has messed things up, but take heart, there's an election coming and an opportunity to change that government into allow us to have a chance to change things around, to fix the mess that they have created and make Canada better for everyone, including the Sindhi community. So I look forward to that.
जी नाज़रीन, जीअं त मां पंहिंजे इंट्रो में तव्हांखे ॿुधाए चुको हुयुसि त हींअर जेको मां मौजूदु आहियां उहो पार्लियामेंट हिल ऐं पार्लियामेंट हाउस जे तरफ़ मौजूदु आहियां ऐं तव्हांखे मां ॾेखारियो त अंदरि जेका कार्रवाई हले पई, जेका असेंबली जी कार्रवाई हले पई, उहे तव्हां ॾिठो त केतिरो जेको मुहज़ब अंदाज़ में जेके स्पीकर हुया उहे बि ॻाल्हाए रहिया हुया, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बि ॻाल्हाए रहिया हुया ऐं जेको असांजो हितां जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर आहे उहो बि ॻाल्हाए रहियो हुयो ऐं उन्हनि जे अपोज़िशन लीडर जा जेके सवालनि जा जवाब हुया उहे बि ॾेई रहिया हुया ऐं गॾोगॾु जेके ॿिया मेंबर बि हिते जेके मौजूदु हुया उहे मेंबर बि जेका आहे पंहिंजे सवालनि जा जवाब जेके आहिनि उहे वठी रहिया हुया ऐं पंहिंजे पंहिंजे इलाइक़नि खे, पंहिंजे पंहिंजे शहरनि खे, पंहिंजे पंहिंजनि जॻहुनि खे उहो जेको आहे उहे प्रेज़ेंट करे रहिया हुया ऐं हुननि ॿुधायो पए त असां कीअं जेको आहे सो पंहिंजे मुल्क जे अंदरि कमु कयूं पिया ऐं कीअं जेको आहे सो पंहिंजे मुल्क जे अंदरि सभु शयूं जेके आहिनि उहे कयूं पिया। त इहे सभु शयूं जेके ॾेखारण जेको सिर्फ़ु मक़सदु हुयो उहो इहो ई हुयो त जेकॾहिं तव्हां कंपेयर कयो असांजे असेंबलियुनि में जिथे सवाइ जेको आहे सो हुल हंगामे झेड़े झगड़े ऐं एतिरे क़दुरु जो हिक ॿिए खे माण्हू जेके आहिनि उहे असांजा जेके मेंबर आहिनि उहे हाथापाई कंदे तव्हांखे नज़र अचनि था, दस्तो गिरेबान थियनि था ऐं हिक ॿिए खे एतिरो बि जेको आहे सो हुनखे अहसासु नथो थिए त जिन माण्हुनि जे वोटनि जे ज़रिए असां वेठा आहियूं उन्हनि माण्हुनि जे वोटर्स जे साम्हूं जेको आहे असांजो जेको इमेज आहे उहो कहिड़ो पियो जेको आहे सो वञे। ऐं ॿी जेका सभ खां वॾी ॻाल्हि हुई हिते उहा इहा हुई त मां तव्हांखे ॿुधाईंदो हलां त हिते जीअं मां तव्हांखे पहिरीं ॿुधायो हिते कंहिं बि मिनिस्टर खे का बि जेका आहे उहा सिक्योरिटी कोन्हे का पुलिस कोन्हे का अनलेस के भई हुनखे को अहिड़ो को थ्रेड आहे जंहिंसां हुनखे तकलीफ़ थिए थी या हुनखे को मसइलो आहे जंहिंखे हुनखे माण्हू जेके ॿुधाइनि था भई पंहिंजो हुनखे को थ्रेड आहे त उहे के 2 या 4 पुलिस वारा पाण सां गॾु खणंदो आहे। अदरवाइज़ सवाइ इन जे के चंद मिनिस्टरनि जे बाक़ी कंहिं बि माण्हू खे कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि सिक्योरिटी न आहे ऐं जेकॾहिं उहा सिक्योरिटी आहे बि त 2 या 4 पुलिस वारा हुन सां गॾु हूंदा, उहा हिकु अधु या का गाॾी हुन सां गॾु हूंदी, हिकिड़ी लंबी लांड कतार गाॾियुनि जी जेका आहिनि उहा हुन सां गॾु कॾहिं बि न रहंदी। ऐं गॾोगॾु जेको असांजो सभ खां वॾी ऐं अहम ॻाल्हि जेका आहे उहा हितां जेको प्राइम मिनिस्टर आहे, कैनेडा जे प्राइम मिनिस्टर खे सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु 3 गाॾियुनि जी सिक्योरिटी आहे। इहा ॻाल्हि तव्हांजे लाइ बि हैरानगी जी ॻाल्हि हूंदी त हाणे हींअर जिते मां मौजूदु आहियां मुंहिंजे पोएं पासे खां प्राइम मिनिस्टर जेको आहे सो निकिरण वारो आहे पर असां उनजे भरिसां जेको आहे सो बीठा आहियूं पर उनजे बावजूदि बि हिते प्राइम मिनिस्टर खे कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि जेका आहे एॾी वॾी सिक्योरिटी कोन्हे का, एॾो वॾो प्रोटोकॉल कोन्हे को जीअं असांजे पाकिस्तान जे अंदरि रोड रस्ता जेके आहिनि ब्लॉक थी वेंदा आहिनि। हिकिड़ी हिते अहम ऐं जेका वॾी जेका ॻाल्हि आहे उहा इहा बि आहे त हिते जेकॾहिं प्राइम मिनिस्टर निकिरे थो त उनजे लाइ रोड रस्ता बंदि न थींदा आहिनि। जेकॾहिं हिते प्राइम मिनिस्टर निकिरे थो त उन जे लाइ स्पेशली तौर ते को प्रोटोकॉल या को उन जॻह खे जेको आहे सो सील या बंदि न कयो वेंदो आहे। उहो नॉर्मल उन ट्रैफ़िक में वेंदो आहे जंहिं ट्रैफ़िक जे अंदरि असांजा आम माण्हू वञनि था ऐं उतां हू जेको आहे सो क्रॉस कंदो आहे सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु पंहिंजे 3 गाॾियुनि जे प्रोटोकॉल जे अंदरि। अदरवाइज़ जेको आहे को जॻह खे जेको आहे सो ब्लॉक न कयो वेंदो आहे। ॿी जेका सभ खां वॾी ऐं अहम ॻाल्हि हुई त हिते मां जॾहिं इन्हनि मुख़्तलिफ़ असांजे ऑफ द स्क्रीन मुख़्तलिफ़ मिनिस्टर खां पुछा कई त जॾहिं तव्हां हितां फ्री थियो था त पोइ काॾे वेंदा आहियो, हुननि ॿुधायो त भई असां वटि न का हिते का MP हॉस्टल आहे, न असां वटि हिते कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का रिहाइश आहे, असां सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु जेको आहे थोरो घणो बजट हिननि खे गवर्नमेंट ॾींदी आहे जेके ही अफोर्ड कंदा आहिनि जेको रेंट आहे हितां जो उहो रेंट जेको आहे भरे सघनि एतिरो हुननि खे गवर्नमेंट पैसा अलाउंस ॾींदी आहे हिकिड़ो त हू पंहिंजो जेको आहे को कॉन्डो को 1 बेडरूम अपार्टमेंट हिते को किथे रेंट ते वठी का या को होटल आहे उहो रेंट ते वठी करे रही सघनि। अदरवाइज़ हिन खे कंहिं बि क़िस्म जी का बि सहूलियत MP हॉस्टल न आहे, को हिते जेको सो सिंध हाउस न आहे, कोई हिते बलोचिस्तान हाउस न आहे, हिते पंजाब हाउस न आहे, KPK हाउस न आहे। हिते सिर्फ़ु स्टेट जा जेके गेस्ट ईंदा आहिनि उन्हनि जे लाइ कुझु गेस्ट हाउसिस ठहियल आहिनि, अदरवाइज़ उहे बि हिननि जे लाइ न आहिनि ठहियल त हितां जेके मिनिस्टर आहिनि उहे हिते रही सघनि। ऐं ॿी सभ खां वॾी अहम ॻाल्हि जेका आहे इहा हिकिड़ी वॾी नोट करण जहिड़ी ॻाल्हि आहे त हिते जेकॾहिं हाउस आहिनि उहो सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु 3 माण्हुनि जे लाइ आहिनि। हिकिड़ो हाउस जेको आहे मिले थो तव्हांजो जेको आहे प्राइम मिनिस्टर खे, ॿियो हाउस मिले थो जेको आहे सो अपोज़िशन लीडर खे, ऐं टियों हाउस जेको मिले थो उहो मिले थो तव्हांजे स्पीकर खे। इन्हनि 3 माण्हुनि खे सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु हिते जेको आहे सो घर मौजूदु हूंदा आहिनि रिहाइश जे लाइ, बाक़ी कंहिं बि माण्हूअ खे हिते जेको आहे सो घर या रिहाइश जेको आहे उहा न हूंदी आहे। सिर्फ़ु ऐं सिर्फ़ु हुनजो कॉन्सेप्ट इहो ई आहे त बाबा हू पंहिंजे शहरनि में वञनि ऐं पंहिंजनि इलाइक़नि में वञनि, सिर्फ़ु सेशन अटेंड कनि ऐं जेको आहे पंहिंजे इलाइक़े में हलिया वञनि त जीअं हू उतां जे अवाम जी जेका आहे उहा ख़िदमत करे सघनि। सो हीउ जेको बि अॼु जो जेको मुंहिंजो स्पेशल एपिसोड हुयो उहो सिर्फ़ु इन जे करे हुयो त माण्हुनि खे सॼी ख़बर पए त जितां जा हितां जा मुहज़िब मुआशरा जेके आहिनि उहे पंहिंजनि माण्हुनि जी कीअं ख़िदमत कनि था ऐं केतिरो जेको आहे सो घटि लो बजट जे अंदरि पंहिंजी ज़िंदगी जेको आहे सो गुज़ारनि था त जीअं वधि में वधि जेको फ़ाइदो आहे उहो अवाम खे पइजी सघे। अॼु हिन प्रोग्राम मां यानी मूंखे रज़ाक मसण खे कैनेडा टाइम मां इजाज़त ॾींदा। नेक्स्ट टाइम वरी मुलाक़ात थींदी कंहिं नए प्रोग्राम ऐं नए टॉपिक सां गॾु। तेसीं ताईं अल्लाह निगहबान।